Hi, Autumn. How you doing? Thanks so much for posting your work. Now, the first thing I notice is that we're kind of straying from the assignment requirements a little bit in that you're featuring the wheels, the Magnum wheels, and not the muscle car itself. So if we jump over to the assignment requirements over here in week 3, assignment 1, part 1, and we jump down right over here, you can see in number 2. Pick a vintage muscle car of the 60s or early 70s, and that is what you're gonna feature in these compositions. Is the car, not the wheels. So it's really important that we all adhere to the assignment specifications so that we can kind of look at each other's compositions and compare and contrast. And that's the reason why we all do the same assignments, so that we can look at each other's critiques and look at each other's videos and everything, and apply what is there to your own work. So in other words, basically what you get in the class is, if there's 15 students in the class, you get 15 different critiques, including your own. And definitely take advantage of that. Those are resources that you can use to your advantage. So feel free to go through the discussion board and view the view the critiques and videos from all of your classmates. I mean, it's a resource, it's an open forum, it's there for your benefit. So I recommend that you go ahead and do that. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into the composition itself. Now, there's a couple of things I want to address, and again, this has to do with the assignment requirements. So what we have here is in the first assignment, in the first layout, you've got no contrasts. And so any kind of hierarchy should be based on grouping. So right now, we don't really have grouping here per se, okay? Because you've got, I guess technically we do. So basically this could be considered one group, and this could be considered the second group. And the only reason that we're going to consider this as a second group is the distance between this and these. Now, these would all be perceived as the same group relations, related to each other, because the distance between these is relatively identical. So the mind perceives this as one group and this as another group. So you have created hierarchy based on grouping. However, the spaces between here are enough that it almost looks like these are all different things. So in typography, you want to commit. So you don't want to have the viewer say, okay, are these supposed to be part of the same group? Are they not? So if you're going to group them together, definitely get those in a group. My next recommendation here would be to establish some alignment, and that has to do with the grid itself. Right now, I'm not seeing any grid at all on your compositions, and using a grid is really important. If you jump over to the course announcements, I've got this really fantastic course announcements right here. I've got a lot of wonderful attributes here that you can use, a lot of great resources to really kind of introduce the grid and kind of describe how to use it. So if you take a look at that introductory video, take a look at this introduction lecture, how to design using a grid, and then these two links right here, as well as this how to create and use a modular grid. That is using InDesign. If you're using Illustrator, just Google how to create a grid using Adobe Illustrator. And it's basically the same principle. Here's some examples of the grid. And this video also shows you how to place elements within your grid once it's constructed in order to ensure page harmony. Really important stuff here, Autumn. Then, of course, down here we've got these examples of a layout with the grid superimposed over it, so you can see how things work. And then likewise, again, the same thing down here. And then a couple more resources down here. So just really look through this, and definitely look through your course reading, which also does a fantastic job describing what the grid is and how we use it as design. Now, I'm really, really adamant about the importance of a grid. As a designer, I don't design anything without a grid. Unless it's a really super organic piece where organization and visual flow aren't important. So anytime I do a magazine ad or magazine covers or brochures, and I definitely, first thing I do is establish a grid and adhere to that grid. And that's why my pages look so harmonious, is because I do adhere very strictly to the grid. So definitely want to go through these resources and create a grid and use the same grid in all 4 compositions. That way you can establish hierarchy, and you can also establish good alignment. Okay, this I think is much better, because these are aligned. These are more saying this is a group. These belong together. Okay, and this one, the second design, you introduce 1 new size and 1 new weight. So there's your new size, and it looks like these are size. So this looks bold, and these look bold. So I'm not sure if you actually have introduced a new size and a new weight. Now, in the third composition, you're going to introduce multiple sizes and multiple weights, but try to do so in a way that really enforces as a designer, you want the viewer to look here first, here second, here third. Let me show you an example. And this example is actually, where the heck is it? Oh, here it is. Let me separate those pages so we can take a look. And this example, this is a great example. Now, I've included this example in the course, in the discussion board for this critique. It's somewhere in here. Just look for my post and you'll find it. Here it is. That's not it. Here it is, right here. And you can use this and really study this. And this is done extremely well. Okay, so as we can see in the first composition, we've got no contrast. All hierarchy is based on grouping. So it's very clear. We've got very clearly defined groups. Okay, then the second composition, we have 1 new size and 1 new weight. There's the new weight. There's the new size. Everything else remains the same. In the third, we've got multiple sizes, multiple weights, okay, and establishing outstanding hierarchy here. And then the fourth is introducing the image with typography, including multiple sizes and multiple weights. Okay, so those are my recommendations. And really, Autumn, if you want to get with me, and I can provide you some other resources, but it's really important. Typographic hierarchy and the use of the grid, establishing and maintaining use of a grid it's just really, really super important things in graphic design. And some of the most important things you will learn while in school. And I mean it, I really do. I think using a grid, a typographic hierarchy separates good designers from fantastic designers. So you want to be a fantastic designer, and I think you are. I do. I think you do really good work. But in this particular case, we just really want to adhere to that grid, and we really want to adhere to these contrasts based on grouping, contrast based on 1 new size, 1 new weight, then multiple sizes, multiple weights, and then finally multiple sizes, multiple weights with the image. So, for example, this fourth composition requires multiple sizes and multiple weights, right? But we've got 1 size and 1 weight, so there's no multiples here. So we definitely want to, and as I said, feel free to use this example, take a look at it and see how this designer solved these problems. And then if you have any questions at all, please let me know. I'll be glad to address anything that comes up, or to clarify anything that we're we can. I just want to check one thing here. Okay, yeah, good, 1 inch. Okay, excellent. Just wanted to check that. Yeah, just get with me if you have any questions at all. Okay, thank you very much.